Good morning, everyone. There's a look from our Unico U.S. Bancorp Tower building downtown Portland. Thank you so much for joining us. Our first guest is a New York Times best-selling author, taking us behind the scenes of iconic TV shows like Seinfeld and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Her latest book turns the silver screen, giving us the inside story of one of the most iconic teen comedies of all time. We welcome back to AM Northwest the author of So Fetch, The Making of Mean Girls, and why we're still so obsessed with it, Jennifer Keishin Armstrong. Jennifer, great to see you. Love the pink hair.
Thank you very much.
Does it go with the book? Is there a purpose? Was it purposely for the book?
It was a little purposely for the book.
I love it. So why look into this one? Why look into Mean Girls for you?
Yeah, I'm always looking for subjects that I can kind of chronicle where they have a big social impact, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just something that you liked. We like a lot of things, but I'm always looking for that lasting impact and that big social impact and even impact on everyday lives. So this is one where you'll hear this all the time, right? People are constantly talking about like, oh, this was such a mean girl situation at work,
yeah,
politics, school, any place. It could happen across genders and it can happen across ages. Really, we all relate to it.
You know, I was surprised by a number of things, first of all, in the book. One is that Tina Fey adapted a guide to girls and teenage girls, and I had no idea about that. Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so interesting, and it was the first time that I read Queen Bees and Wannabes is the name of the book, and it was actually quite a sensation when it came out, which is a couple years before Mean Girls, so in the early 2000s. There was a big article about it in the New York Times. Everybody wanted to read this because everybody wanted to understand their teenage daughters and how to help them through school. And Tina Fey saw this, read the article first, and then asked for the book. And she was really intrigued because, of course, she did relate to this from having been a girl in high school at one time. And she just actually thought, like, no one's quite talked about girls' problems this way, in this way that takes them seriously, but also really kind of dissects them and looks at them in this way that's like, not just girls will be girls, but that this is real behavior that goes on and is very distressing when it's happening at the time to you.
Yeah, another thing that you brought up, so many wonderful, little factoids here. Lindsay Lohan didn't want the role she ended up playing.
That's right. It's kind of fun to think about this, but she was the first one to sign on to the movie. She was the only one who was really famous at the time from having done Freaky Friday and Parent Trap. And at first she really was excited to play Regina George, who is the iconic villain in this. And you can imagine why, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my gosh, to play the really mean girl would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing was that she was the only, real big star at the time. She was the draw. And so actually the studio, Paramount, kind of drew the line and said, I'm sorry, but you actually have to play the lead. Katie, you have to play the center of this, the good girl who kind of goes to the dark side and back again, because you are our bankable star and people want to see you and like you,
right? And you also pointed out that she in real life had been bullied at her public high school.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm sure that's not uncommon, and particularly in her case, very common for child stars, right? Which is what she was. And people get really, really jealous when the child star comes back to school and now the rest of the world, they're famous. And it's kind of almost like this thing like, well, we're going to put her in her place. Who does she think she is? And so she had a really hard time in her high school once she had become this known child star.
Let's talk about some of the actors who took part in it, because really, and are they all friends?
They were all friends. I mean, I think they all became really friendly on the set. It was to the great delight of most of us and to the little detriment of me having to write a book about it, because it'd be fun if there was some like big behind the scenes scandal.
Right.
But in fact, it was quite a nice set and they all got along.
Yeah, and the director seemed like he was really good with all the kids.
Yeah, Mark Waters just seems to be particularly talented at working with young people. And my God, I cannot tell you how much every single person I talked to was like, Mark Waters was the best. We were all into like, what does Mark Waters think? He just was really good, especially with Lindsay. They had worked together before on Freaky Friday. and just in general with this cast.
And Chris Anton, who played Huge Guy, he clearly loved the set. Lots of pictures of him with different actresses.
Yes, this guy's so great. So he's fun because also most of the high schoolers, you know, they were surrounded by sort of high schoolers who each have one or two great lines. And they were all played by Canadians because it was filmed in Toronto. So he is one of those Canadians. And each of them kind of got one or two of these great lines. He's the one who says, nice wig, Janice, if you guys remember that. And she says, it's made of your mom's chest hair. That's why it's famous. But,
which wasn't the original line.
That's true. That is not the original line. It was a little dirtier in the original, like many of the lines, because they were desperate to get a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. What, you know, when you think of all the phrases, I love that you use "so fetch," one of the greatest phrases there used in the movie. What other phrases stand out to you as some of your favorites?
Goodness, there's so many, right? But I mean, of course, I don't know. It's hard to say the most famous, but maybe the most famous is "On Wednesdays We Wear Pink." There's so many other good ones. I actually kind of love the one about having a wide set vagina. There's just a number of these just unbelievably great lines, you know, get in loser, we're going shopping. It's stuff people say all the time.
Yeah, it is. It's very true. And what's so cool too is that you've got the musical on Broadway and now the musical released on the big screen. So
That's right.
It's still in the minds of a lot of people. And for those who, you know, saw the original movie 20 years later, I'm sure they're also going to go to the movie again.
Oh, I think definitely. I have seen it, and I think they'll be pleased. It's very fun. It's a nice combination of the original movie and the musical. There are a number of lines that do come back. There's like, you go, Glenn Coco's in there, don't worry. People loved that in the theater that I saw. Like, everybody said it along with it. And so it's kind of a fun, you know, half nostalgia, half new stuff.
And doesn't Tina Fey make an appearance? And Tim Meadows?
She's playing the same role,
yeah,
actually. So that's really fun. And there's a couple of, I'm not going to ruin them, but there's a couple of little and one big surprise for fans.
Oh, wow. Whoa,
yeah.
That's a teaser. I love it. We want to tell we want to tell everyone again, the book is titled So Fetch, The Making of Mean Girls, and why we're still so obsessed with it. Jennifer Keishin Armstrong, thank you so much. Great talking with you again, and do love the hair.
Thank you so much.
You bet. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.